This is Erica Glessing, and you're joining me on the Erica Glessing Show, where I find the most inspirational people in my world, and I bring them to you so you can get inspiration as well. And mine today is so inspiring. Her name is Cali Gilbert. She is a filmmaker, a producer, a photographer, and she really just woke up one day and said, you know what? I'm going to live my dream. Does that sound about right, Kelly?
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah. And, for people who've been sort of sitting on their dream or thinking about their dream or not really in action on doing their life purpose, can you just give us like, what are some steps someone can do to start kind of just acknowledging that bigger thing?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it right there, and it's taking action. I've published several books, and when I published my first book back in 2011, it's Simply Sausalito, I wrote quotes that went along with the photographs that I was taking, and one of the quotes says, "Dreamers paint a pretty picture, but those who take action create a masterpiece." And I basically live my life like that. It's like you can dream all you want. If you don't take a step forward towards your dream, that's all it's going to be, is just a dream.
That's my birthplace. Yes, I was born in Sausalito, California.
Wow. Great little town.
Well, as you said, there's always synchronicity everywhere, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, maybe just for people with that sort of like photo bug, that kind of, it's almost like a passion of taking pictures. How did you nurture that? How have you like found room for that?
Yeah, so I've been a photographer my entire life. I've carried a camera wherever I go. I always say my camera's like the American Express card, right? Don't leave home without it. And but for me, it was, just a joy that I love to do. It was a hobby. It was never anything that I thought would end up being a career or anything more than that. And then in 2009, I guess it was, I was living in Sausalito, and my friends were, continuously saying, "Cali, you take the most amazing photos. You should do something with them," because I would take them and I put them in albums or put them up on the wall, and that was it. And so I thought, well, maybe they're right. And it was like something kind of ingrained in me that this could possibly be something, but I had no idea what. But in 2009, I submitted a photograph to the Sausalito Art Festival, which is this massive festival that they have every year. And it was rejected. And I thought, oh, no big deal. Didn't have any expectations for it. So it's really not, nothing to worry about. Went on with my life. The very next year, 2010, I submitted the same exact photograph to the festival. And this time they accepted it. And it went on exhibits. It was a 3-week exhibit prior to the opening of the festival, where it was like a gallery opening. And they had the opening night reception, and someone purchased my photograph within the 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of the opening night reception. And it was just like, whoa, okay, maybe I have something here. Wow. And that's really how it began. My photographs have now exhibited in galleries across the country.
I can remember when I was I was on a call earlier today with a lady that teaches how to get that critical voice out of your head. And I remember being hired by a newspaper and going to the Sacramento Bee and saying to myself, like, not really figuring out how they could hire me. Like, when they see how I really write, like, I'm so going back to the tiny little paper in Tahoe. Like, you know what I mean? It was like this sort of this disbelief of when, and even though the world is saying to you, hey, you've got something there, you've got a gift,
exactly.
You are beautiful, you have something to say, so maybe just talk a little bit about that critical voice. And I know this must come into play as someone who does art as you do in such a big way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do we do with that critical,
self-sabotaging
jerk?
Right. Exactly. Well, I think the first step is acknowledging it, right? It's you hear it and it's like, okay, well, thank you for, voicing your opinion, and I acknowledge you, but I don't necessarily have to listen to you. So I think it's that acknowledgement that it's there, instead of just trying to ignore it, because you ignore something, it becomes more stronger than it was before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and I think that's really important. And it's, that's with anything as an artist. I mean, I wear many hats as an artist. I'm a photographer, an author, a filmmaker, and in each component, there's always going to be something that comes in, that inner critic that's going to be there going, well, you've never done this before. Who do you think you are? But why not? If you don't try, you're never going to, see what your true potential is.
Mm-hmm. Maybe just talk a little bit about the question that's showing up for me. It's a little bit vague, so maybe you can make sense of it. It has to do with how do we know we're being original or authentically ourselves? Or, there's kind of this big thing, be authentic. And part of me says, well, I can't be anything but that. But then I worry about being too much alike others.
Yeah, that's tricky. It really, I think for me, when I really discovered my true authentic self, it was when I was going through a massive, massive period of transformation, of literally losing everything and being left with nothing but who I truly was. And so when I wrote my fifth book, which it's Simply a Serendipity, which was my first book in my memoir series, and that one really shared the story of that transformational period. I just was as raw as, I could be. It was like, this is exactly what happened, no sugarcoating anything. And the reception of that was amazing. It was, people were drawn to that, because it was like, we wanted to see the real thing. We wanted to understand what you went through. And I think when you do that, you're the only one that can tell your story the way you can, because you've lived the experience, right? But others can relate to things in their own life that will come up as the result of reading your story and tapping into moments that you're sharing.
One of the things I always say is, when you tell your story, you change the world.
Exactly. Absolutely. I believe that everyone has a story, and it's just a matter of having that opportunity to share it with the world in a way that they can. And it could be through a photograph, through a book, through a film, through so many different mediums, but it's how they feel, they can best express themselves. Some people are better at, sharing their voice. Others are better at, writing. And so it's just really different modalities, and just figuring out which one works best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually believe that's true about social media as well. Like when you said I go everywhere with my camera, well, Erica, I go everywhere with my journal.
Right.
And I have three. I have different sizes. I have ones that goes in my purse. I have a really big one where I mock up I mock up storyboard books that are going to be written. And yeah, I have all these different, my kids just always give me notebooks when they don't know what to give me for a gift.
Right. Absolutely.
It's like, that will always, and they're always like, but you already have that. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have enough.
Exactly.
I'd love it if you'd share with us the story of your documentary and its success and how that came about. Just share with us
absolutely.
That beautiful story.
Yeah, so last year, 2019, at the beginning of the year, I launched my own production company, Tower 15 Productions. And I had a number of projects that I wanted to do. I had started to focus on a feature-length documentary entitled Pearl, which was about 6 women who had come together to share their stories of homelessness to success, and then find solutions to once and for all end homelessness, and spent about a year trying to raise funds for this documentary. I had an amazing all-female cast and crew, really incredible filmmakers. And so it was wonderful. And we thought, well, we've got everything together. This should be, a piece of cake. Well, it wasn't. We tried everything to raise money for this film. And for one reason or another, it just wasn't working out. And so by the middle of 2019, I had run out of money. I didn't know what if I was going to be able to keep my home. It was just all these different things going on. And one day I thought, okay, well, I'm in this kind of fear-based space. I probably should look for a job outside of film. And so I was trying to get to a job fair in Culver City. I live in LA. And where I live, it's about, 30-minute drive, not even that, from where I am, but I don't have a car, so I had to take the bus. And I thought, all right, well, I got to get to Culver City. And I literally did not have enough money to get the bus there, which was only a few dollars. And I was just like, this isn't good. What am I supposed to do here? And so initially I was in that victim mentality of, I'm trying to do what I think I'm supposed to be doing, and I can't even do that. This is really not good. But then I took a step back and I thought to myself, all right, well, I don't have the money to get across town, but what do I have and what can I do with what I currently have? And I looked down and I said, well, I have a phone and I have a computer at home and I have editing software and I can talk to people and, I can make a movie, I can make a film. And so with zero budget and some help
I
from
just want to pause you there.
Yes.
Just only because that's a long time of one voice, and so we have another voice. And
Yeah.
I just think it's so fascinating to when we look at the power of the question.
Yes.
Because in that situation, one could have just gotten a bottle of something and drank oneself sick, right? And instead there was this moment where that's like, okay, what's a question? And your question was like, what do I have?
Yeah.
And
what can I do with what I have?
Yeah. And that's just a really powerful question. And I feel like right now, maybe more than in the past, people can say to themselves, okay, I don't have this, I don't have that. What can I do with what I have? And I just find that to be I just wanted to kind of call that question out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and the thing, and so with no money, and I just called up some friends who were involved in the homeless organizations, and I said, can I interview you? And they said, of course. And then I called up some other friends and I said, I need some music for this film. Can you donate it? Of course. I made a 15-minute film that is currently on the festival circuit. It's winning awards. I was received notification that I was invited to go to the Cannes Film Festival. And it was just all these things were happening. We had the LA premiere at the famed Chinese Theatre here in Hollywood. And it was just amazing. I mean, the first 2 months of 2020 were like a dream. I was living the dream.
Wow.
And then, of course, everything stopped, right?
Right.
And, but yeah, I look back and I'm like, to me, everyone, I always see these posts nowadays going, can we just kind of delete 2020? And I'm like, no, because 2020 for me, the first 2 months were amazing.
Right. And actually there's something that is showing it for me, just when I look at tell people about kind of some of the things that came out of that. Like, what are some of the tenets that you learned from the people that you interviewed?
Yeah, so the purpose of the film was to be like a kind of a preview to the Pearl documentary, because the Pearl documentary was the big baby. And so I thought, well, maybe if I can make a film on my own with zero budget and show the world what I can do with, in those circumstances, then maybe I can draw attention for Pearl. And it was amazing because the focus of the film is on the homeless crisis here in LA, but also with a focus on prevention. Because I think too much of the focus in a lot of things in the homeless issues is around what do we do once somebody becomes homeless, rather than how do we prevent somebody from getting there in the first place. So I wanted to share that.
There's so many moments of power on the way there when things can change. I love that focus. It's so empowering, because you can go and help people who need a hand up, but who just haven't. It's amazing. I've gone through some similar situations myself. So this was so much fun talking to you. I want you to tell my audience where they can see the film, reach you, find out more, support you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So my main website is caligilbert.com, C-A-L-I Gilbert, Gilbert.com, and all the info's there.
Great. Thank you so much, Callie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.